The very first web connection that we're going to create is at a lower level, so we get a feeling for what's happening in it. We're going to create an HTTP web request. So inside of our view.did_load in our view controller, let's have var request is equal to a new, or rather not a new, this is an HTTP web request, and I haven't added my using yet for our system.net. And we're going to create, and it requires a URI string. Now this is going to be a literal string, so we just want to have an @ before our open quotes to make sure it doesn't change anything about our string. And let's use the example address that Xamarin provides on their documentation, which is rxnav.nlm.nih.gov, and then we have /rest /rx terms / sorry this is so long, rxcy /198.440/all info. Right, I believe that should now be correct. So we've created our web request. Then we can set an optional type for the content. So request.content type is equal to, and this takes a string, so application, and I'm expecting JSON back from this. And then we need a method for our request, and this can be get, because we're retrieving information. If we were putting information out there, we would have post, but we are retrieving it, so get it is. Now the following block of code is going to look at actually retrieving the response from this server and printing it out to us. Typically, HTTP requests will take a fair amount of memory, especially if you're receiving a whole lot of text back. So what we want to do is put these in a using statement so that the memory is automatically freed up once we're done with the statement. So let's have a using HTTP web response, and we will call this response is equal to our request dot get response. So this fires it off, and then we have to cast it as an HTTP web response. So let's open our braces, and let's write some of the code that we need inside of this using statement. The first bit of code we need is to check our status code of the response. I'm sure you've seen on the internet when you browse somewhere that a page doesn't exist anymore, you get a 404 error. Well, these status codes are things that are well understood and well defined, and they are plumbed into our HTTP or our system.net class. So we can check if response.statusCode is not equal to the HTTP status code dot OK, and you'll see how many options we have here for codes. Then let's give ourselves a message and say console.writeLine status code bad or not OK. But if it is OK, this if statement won't execute, and we can then use what's called a stream reader to actually get the response stream for us. So using our stream reader, which we don't have yet, stream reader dot right click it, resolve using system IO. Stream reader, and we will call this reader is equal to a new stream reader, and it asks us for the stream. So we grab this from our response.getStream, and of course we have some braces for this method too. Let me just check I've closed my brackets. I have one short here. There we go. Okay, so now we have our data coming back using this reader. Let's create a string out of it. Var content equals reader dot read, and we can read various things, but we want read to end, which provides us a string. Then let's check that string if string dot is null or white space, and then let's pass it over our content, and this just checks if it's empty or non-existent. Then let's give ourselves a message, console.writeLine response string invalid, else we have a legitimate response. So let's have console.writeLine, and let's have response, and actually print out the text that we have retrieved. So content. Okay, that should just about do it for our web request. So it's going to create it, set the content type, use the method get. It's going to check for a response. If the response code is okay, then it's going to carry on using a stream reader. If the string that it pulls out of the reader is okay, then it's going to give us the response. So we have a fair amount of error checking and exception catching in here. But by no means have we covered all of our bases in terms of errors or exceptions. So let's hit play. Oh, just before I do, you'll notice this HTTP doesn't have an S, so it's not secure, and that's why we set our app transport security previously. So hit play, and this will go and get our data and hopefully print something out to our application output. There we go, it's now running. Let me open the app output, and let's wait for it to do its business. And there we have it. Right at the top, we have our web requests response, and actually this is providing an XML file back, as you can see from the formatting there, not a JSON, so Xamarin's documentation isn't quite right. Okay, so we have all of our data passed over, and we have received it. So I'll just stop that running, and that is the conclusion of creating a low-level HTTP web request when you want to really control what's going on.